Students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest, where it's a little bit rainy still in the spring weather, apparently. I hope everybody has had a successful week so far, staying healthy and strong. In this class, we are looking at some reading practice and mastery for the academic IELTS. This passage that we're looking at today could easily be a Section 3 passage for the general IELTS exam also. And of course, this class is a members chat class. That means that only members of our YouTube channel can join the chat, but of course everybody is welcome to watch. We will have an all chat class where everybody can join the chat coming up in 90 minutes that will target the listening section, specifically parts 1 and 2. And there are our first members joining into the class. Hi Jaineel, hi Kyber, hi Maksud. Nice to see students in class on time. While we wait for some more of your peers, this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Please join our premium packages there. And for general IELTS, join us at gieltshelp.com. On both of these websites, we have over 100 hours of HD video lessons, fully interactive course for you, and of course, original practice exams. And they're fully supported by apps, academic IELTS help app for aehelp.com and general IELTS help app for gieltshelp.com. The websites, they look like this. This is the general one here with the green background. You can click that big red button to join us there. And the academic IELTS website looks similar, but with a blue background. I'm just going to bring that up real quick here to show you as well. If it decides to come up. Might have a little bit of an internet issue here. We'll see about that. Anyway, quite a bright background so you can actually see me right now. Hi, Dr. Krishna. Hi, Carolina. Nice to see you in class. Long time no see. Hi, Pavan. All right. So this is our academic website here with the blue background. Again, you can click that big red button to join us there. All right, everyone. If you have questions, of course, you can reach out to me. Contact me at adrian@aehelp.com, and I will gladly answer your inquiries. These classes, students, they run from Wednesday to Saturday, according to Central European Time, 13:30 start time for members chat classes, and 15 o'clock for all chat classes, so keep that in mind. Okay, let's get cracking with today's reading. So this reading, for those of you who have our courses, is coming from your second exam book, and it's test number 5, reading passage number 1. So if you want to hear the audio, and for those students who do have our packages, I highly recommend using the reading audio. I think we're the only company in the world for IELTS that actually does audio reading for the reading passages. I think that's very helpful for students. So this would be CD 5, track 5 on your in your My Student account under the audio CD section. So definitely use those. All right, so here we go, members. Let's get into this. So first of all, let's observe the title. Always pay very careful attention to the title. I'm still so surprised how many students kind of ignore the title of passages and just start reading. That's a really bad idea. You want to pay close attention to the title. So why do tortoises live so long? Any answers for this, members? Why do tortoises live so long? And how long is long? Let's see who's paying attention, who's sharp today, thinking critically. So when you read a title, think critically about it. Think about the what, the why, the how, and try to give some detailed answers for that so that you predict the content of the passage. So when the title is literally a question, and you will likely see one of those in your IELTS, in this case, why do tortoises live so long? What is the answer that you come up with? Okay. Angelina says because their metabolism is quite slow. Yeah, that's good, Angelina. So Angelina says because of slow metabolism. Yeah, that's a good answer. And when I asked how long is long, Maksud, I said, I think it's 300 years. Yeah, it's really long. It's definitely over 100 and something, over 200 maybe even. So how long is long? The answer Maksud is giving us is, I think it's about 300 years. Yeah, quite possible that some tortoises will live that long. Abhishek says, well, because they walk slowly. Maybe, yeah, maybe slow walking is a key to success. Abhishek also says they probably live so long because they have a protective shield. Yeah, they have a protective, it's not a shield, Abhishek, it's called a shell. Okay, shell. Shield is what we use in battle, sword and shield, and we use that in some other contexts as well. But for animals, we say shell. Okay, so crab shell, clam shell, turtle shell, tortoise shell. So those are shells. Okay. All right. Good. Okay, so we're getting some ideas there. That's fine. What's our next step? What do we do after that? So we're thinking critically. We're thinking about the tortoise's long life, its slow movement, its slow metabolism. And what do we do next? What's our next step? And again, always practice these at home so that when you get to your official exam, then you can be really quick and systematic in these strategies. Okay. Abhishek says they're also because they're herbivorous, which means plant eaters. Maybe, Abhishek, maybe. Okay. Dr. Krishna says they're amphibians, so they live according to the requirements in the environment. Yeah, okay. Jainil says skim the questions. Yeah, absolutely, Jainil. Good. So step 2, look at the questions and skim the ones that have content which is in the passage. Skip the ones that have false or extra information. Yeah, that's what we do. Very good, Jainil. So let's do that. Okay. Here we go. So very popular question in the exam. You can see this in passage 3 of the general as well, this type of question. So which paragraph contains the following information? Here we're matching the information to the appropriate paragraph, A to F. So we know that there are that many paragraphs. We definitely want to skim these. So again, members, this is a reading class. So don't just follow my voice, but also read. Okay, and you want to read aloud. Why is aloud reading important? Just before we get more into this. So why is it really important for you that when you're reading, you spend about half of your English reading practice every time reading aloud? Reading aloud means hearing your own voice, using your vocal cords, so reading factors that lower tortoises' life expectancy. Tortoises being used as a food source, separation from predators contributes to their long lifespan. Some animals have different methods of ensuring the species lives on. Tortoises have difficulty adapting to new environmental pressures. Okay, so why is that kind of aloud reading important? And I want you to answer this for me because I want to remind you to do this, and I want this to crystallize in your mind so that today, tomorrow, or the day after, when you're doing your reading practice, you go, oh yeah, I got to read aloud, not just quietly in my head. So I have to read aloud. Why is aloud reading so very important to regularly practice? Okay, so this is my next question as we kick off this class. Why is aloud reading so very, very important to do regularly? What's the answer to that question? Hmm? Anybody? What's the logic there? Why is that so useful for your studies and your development? Mental, behavioral development. Why should you do that? By the way, you should do that after you're done IELTS as well, okay? We do way too much silent reading these days. So I think people are shy to hear their own voice, which is not good, okay? Abhishek says it increases attention. It can. Yeah, that's possible. It's not the main reason. Angelina says, I feel I can comprehend better when I listen to myself. That's possible too, especially if you're an auditory learner. So some people, Angelina, are definitely auditory learners. Most of us are visual learners, but some people are auditory, meaning learning from sound. Okay. Carolina says it helps with grammar and vocabulary as well. Yeah, I agree with you, Carolina. Helps with grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. So for sure it's helping your speaking. I agree with that 100%, especially when you're learning another language. Also, it's what's called multiple sensory integration. Which means rather than just using your eyes and your internal voice, you also use your muscles, which is your sense of touch, right? You use your ears, your hearing, right? When more of your brain is activated, it enhances learning and development. Okay, so the brain, just like a muscle, the more you use it, the more it develops. And the more of your senses you use, right? We have our 5 primary senses of touch, taste, smell, hearing, and sight. So we have those 5 primary senses. The more of those that we can incorporate, the more of an experience we can create, the more training we facilitate for our brain for its development. Okay, so it's much, much more effective. So that's why, for example, if we're talking about muscle development, if you're doing sports like swimming, it's a great workout because you're working out so much of the body all at once. So it's a very valuable and effective use of time. Okay, so it also improves confidence. I agree with that, Sammy. So lots of reasons to read aloud. So for today's class, students, if you have the opportunity, so if you're not sitting in a place where you have to be quiet, if you can use your loud voice, please use your voice. Speak loud and read aloud. Okay, so here we go with some more questions. So we read these, good. Let's keep going on. So always remind yourself to read aloud, okay? Here we have complete the sentences below, okay? Write your answers in boxes 6 to 9 on your answer sheet. Let's skim over these as well. Read with me, aloud. The causes of the tortoise's long life are biological and... While salmon lay thousands of eggs at once, tortoises rely on their something to continue the species. Unlike the tortoise, animals such as thee have very high metabolisms. The tortoise's something protects them from attacks, thus lengthening their life. Now, another really important point when you're reading aloud, especially, is your intonation and recognizing and respecting punctuation. So taking those half breaks for commas or the full breaks for full stops, like periods. So I highly, highly recommend for you to make sure that you respect and pay attention to punctuation. Don't just read through it, okay? Those are there for a very good reason. All right, and then we have question set number 3 from 10 to 13. True, false, not given. Those questions, we don't want to read them because we don't know which are included, which are wrong. So they're confusing for us. We're going to avoid those for now. All right. So now we go back to reading the passage. And before you start reading the passage, when you're practicing good reading skills at home, what should you do? What should you remember to do as you read the passage? So when you're like, okay, now I'm going to read the passage, I'm ready to go, but I got to remember to do these steps while I read the passage. What are those? Okay, Maksud, if you don't understand a word in the question, don't worry about it. Just continue because that might become clear later when you read the passage. Okay, so don't get stuck trying to figure out a word in the question yet. Later on, that can change. But for now, Maksud, don't worry about it. Okay, so before we get into reading the paragraphs, my next question here is, what should you always remember to do while reading each paragraph? Okay, what should you do? What's the answer to that? Very important question. Okay, so Abhishek says, number 1, you should do active reading. Absolutely. So active reading, always, meaning pay attention to the what, meaning topic sentences, the whys, meaning explanations, and the hows, meaning the examples usually. Okay, all right. And then you should always, especially with this kind of very physical type of passage, visualize. Yeah, absolutely, Sammy, very good. And also visualize. Visualize meaning see the information clearly. Include yourself somehow to make your brain hold the information. Okay, so clear information and make it in some way unique, make it yours. Okay, it's very, very important. All right. Okay, so let's do that as we read along here. All right. Again, remember, students, you don't have to understand every single word and every single sentence in your reading to get a good score. Logic and strategy will still get you to a high band score, even if you don't. All right. So again, just stay focused and keep pushing forward. Here we go. So let's read together. Again, remember to read aloud and respect punctuation. So commas, periods, okay? Now, the reason we're doing this for each paragraph, and of course the whole essay, but each paragraph, is because each paragraph contains its own information, right? So let's do this. Let's start with paragraph A. Tortoises are some of the longest lived creatures in nature. They can live so long that scientists have yet to fully document the lifespan of these hard-shelled reptiles. Reports, however, indicate that certain species of tortoises can live up to 200 years, far longer than the average human lifespan. The reason tortoises live so long are evolutionary and biological, though the population of these ancient creatures is declining due to the low reproduction rates and increased predation. Okay, so here I have to visualize this. I have to visualize this very, very old turtle that I'm maybe looking at as a scientist, and I'm thinking, okay, I have to pass my notes on to my children and my children's children because this tortoise will live so long that I'm not going to see it to the end. And then I visualize the rest of these. So their long life due to evolution, so changing biology, and the biological factors, so the way that their bodies work. All right. Now, of course, with this, it's the introduction, so I'm paying especially careful attention to the thesis statement. And the thesis statement here, for me, seems two-part. Okay? When I'm looking for the thesis statement in the introduction, I'm thinking, okay, where does this writer tell me what will be in the essay? And that comes here. Okay? So the reasons tortoises live so long are evolutionary and biological. And then it continues. Population of these ancient creatures is declining due to low reproduction and increased predation. So from this part, as an academic reader, I can figure out that the points which will be explained in more detail will be their long life due to evolution, due to biology, and their declining numbers due to low reproduction and increased predation. So I'm expecting that this essay, this passage, will detail this information more in separate paragraphs. Okay? All right. Let's keep going. If any questions come up, let me know. I am taking a look, of course, at the chat regularly. Okay. All right. So, paragraph 2, here we go. Some nice fluid reading. Nature is incredibly diverse, but the common factor among creatures is the need to reproduce. Some creatures, such as humans, have small numbers of young which are cared for diligently. Others, such as salmon, have no interaction with their offspring whatsoever. Instead, salmon rely on the sheer number of eggs they lay. They lay so many eggs that some are bound to survive to adulthood. While some animals rely on care and vast numbers of eggs, the tortoise relies on the longevity of their life. Female tortoises can produce offspring for well over a century. This is one reason tortoises live so long, so they can reproduce many times and thus continue the species. Now, I'm not going to stop and ask you about the what or what you see, because many members are practicing this regularly. So we're just doing this, and then the efficiency will be revealed once we get to the question. So let's just keep reading. Let's just work on that fluency. And remember, it's up to you to visualize and think of the main points. That was obviously about reproductive strategies. Okay, here we go. C. Reproduction, however, is not a cause of tortoises' longevity. The most fundamental cause of their longevity is their incredibly slow metabolism. A creature's metabolism is the rate at which they process food and energy. Some animals, such as the hummingbird, have very fast metabolisms in order to power their high-energy existences. Conversely, tortoises have very slow metabolisms because they have very few energy expenditures. In general, creatures with slow metabolisms live longer than those with faster metabolisms. Due to its low metabolism, the tortoise can live for up to a year without food or water. When explorers were traveling to the Galapagos Islands in the 18th and 19th centuries, it was common for sailors to take tortoises on board the ship as they left the islands. Since tortoises survived so long without food or water, they were able to provide the sailors with a very long-lasting supply of fresh meat aboard the ship. Metabolism alone, however, does not explain the great age to which the tortoise can live. Critical to the tortoise's longevity is their hard shell, which protects them from predators. Every long-lived creature in nature has a mechanism for protection. Some animals have speed to the effect of a quick escape from predation. Some use intelligence to outwit predators. Some use poison against predators, and some have physical protection, like the tortoise. In addition to its hard outer shell, the tortoise is also a large animal, and in general, large animals tend to live longer than smaller animals. A final cause of tortoises' longevity is their island habitat. Animals which live on islands tend to live longer because they are kept separate from many of the most dangerous predators. Instead of developing energy inefficient methods of keeping safe from predators and thus requiring an increased metabolism, tortoises are free to allocate their energy to extending their lifespan and maintaining a very low metabolism. All right, this is for the advanced students. We're going to read this last paragraph a little bit faster, although that speed is absolutely fine for the IELTS. So far, the speed that we are reading is absolutely okay. In fact, even if you're 10% slower, 15% slower, you're still okay. All right, a little bit for the advanced students. Here we go. Though tortoises have developed an extraordinary ability to live a long life, today this ability is threatened by a number of factors. First and perhaps most significant is predation by humans. In the past, tortoises and humans did not commonly coexist, but today, tortoises are killed by poachers who value the tortoise's shell. Second, the contamination of tortoise habitats has put tortoise young at risk. For the first 5 years of a tortoise's life, they are prone to predators such as rats. Originally, such predators did not share the tortoise's island habitat, but through the introduction of rats and other species to the habitat, it has put the tortoise at risk. Finally, the tortoise's slow metabolism means that they are very slow and virtually incapable of adapting to these new pressures. If tortoise populations are not looked after, they will almost certainly become extinct. All right, so that's fast reading. If you're looking for a band 9, that's definitely a good pace to keep in mind. At that speed, you can read the whole passage in about 4 or 5 minutes. Okay? And so if you need to, you can actually reread entire paragraphs to answer questions if you need to. All right, so far so good, everyone. Let's get into answering some questions and some question strategy. So hopefully you visualized and have a fairly good and clear picture of what information is contained where. So let's do these together. This is, again, matching the information to the correct paragraph. So I'll give you some strategy for this as we work through the questions and answers. Number 1, factors that lower tortoises' life expectancy. Factors that lower tortoises' life expectancy. Now, when you're practicing at home, you should be able to answer these. So what are those? So what are factors that lower the tortoise's life expectancy? If you can answer it, you'll probably know which paragraph it came from as well. Okay? And of course, for college, university, that's the level of comprehension. Okay, so Charlie Sen says, attacked by poachers. Okay, poachers? Sure. Poachers, yeah, people who kill them, right? Dr. Krishna says predation. Yeah. Predation means other animals eating them. What type of animals? So poaching, predation. Anybody remember the types of animals that kill them? It was very visual for me. Yeah, that's right, Pavan. Rats. Very good, Charlie. Rats, yeah. I mean, I hope everybody saw that, right? The rats eating those poor little tortoise babies. So terrible. Very good, Preeti. So Preeti says another factor was pollution, contamination. Yeah, pollution, contamination. Contamination is another way to say pollution. Okay? And of course, when you visualize these, you'll know the answer. So which paragraph was that? Where did we just read all that information? Okay. And again, to those people who are like, well, Adrian, but I want to really skim and scan, you'd be in trouble with this question because you would have to skim read the entire passage to get this paragraph because it was the last one, right? It was paragraph F. Very good, students. Very, very good. So that was paragraph F. Absolutely. Well done. Okay. Tortoises being used as a food source. So tortoises being used as a food source. Again, very visual. And here I would ask the question, who eats tortoises? So who eats these tortoises? People still eat them today, although some types of tortoises are absolutely illegal to eat now, for sure. In Japan, when I lived there, I saw soft-shelled turtles on sale. Very good, Pooja. Very nice. So Pooja has the most accurate answer. So Pooja says sailors. Okay, now, again, training your logic, training to think quickly. Why? Why do sailors eat them? Okay, so that would be your next logical step. Yeah, Preeti, very good. Sailors in the 18th and 19th century. Thank goodness sailors today don't, I hope not, unless they're in trouble, I guess, eat these tortoises. So why do sailors eat them? Very good, Abhishek. So Abhishek says because they can live for 1 year without food or water. Okay, so answer here is they live 1 year without food and water, which is interesting because they can obviously keep for a long time. So this is before technology of refrigeration, right? So what would be my next logical question here? So notice this logical pattern of thinking, right? And doing this at home while you're practicing will really help your communication, your logic, your English. So who eats tortoises? Sailors. Why do sailors eat them? Because tortoises can live for a year without food and water, so they keep well on the ships. What's the next question that I can ask here? Okay, and here just use the trick of the 3-year-old child. I call it the trick of the 3-year-old child, which is the why. Okay, that's the trick of the 3-year-old child. And I'm going to actually write this down for everyone so you can really keep it in mind, just like with the aloud reading. We're trained to do this by nature, and it's a beautiful gift from God, from nature, from Gaia, that we've been trained with this incredible concept of reasoning. So use the learning trick of the 3-year-old child, which is why so on. Okay, and for those viewers who have small children, they know exactly what I'm talking about here. Okay. Yeah, Pooja, so the good question, exactly, not how do they live so long, but why do they live so long, right? So good, Pooja, very good. Yeah, my next question would be, why do they live so long? And what's the answer to that? So why do they live so long? Why do they live so long? To be more specific, why do they live so long without food and water? Very good, Charlie Sen. Because of their slow metabolism. So which paragraph talks about the slow metabolism and the sailors? It's all in the same paragraph. right? That's the point that I wanted to bring you with this 3-year-old child strategy of the why, because you can probably pin down the paragraph much more accurately now. So who eats them? Sailors. Why? Because they live a year without food and water. Why do they live a year without food and water? Because of their slow metabolism. Which paragraph talks about slow metabolism? Abhishek says C or D. Okay. Definitely wasn't the introduction. Here's another way to kind of jog your memory. Okay, this is what we call jogging your memory. What was paragraph B about? So what was paragraph B about? Anybody remember? What was paragraph B about? Let's see who visualized that. I actually stopped for paragraph B and I said this paragraph is about. Paragraph B was the last one where I pointed out the topic of the paragraph. That's right, Preeti. Very good. Preeti's paying attention. So Preeti says B was about reproduction. So paragraph B was about reproduction. And then came paragraph C about metabolism. Okay? So now you'd be assured that it was C. But worry not, students. If you're like, okay, well, it was maybe C or maybe D, that's fine. If you can kind of pin down this type of question to 2 paragraphs, you're on the right track because you can check really quickly in the passage to make sure. So I know a lot of you are going, well, maybe B, maybe C. Some of you are going, maybe C, maybe D. So if you're the B, C type person, then you look at B and you go, okay, nature, common factors, creatures, reproduce. Oh, wait a second. Yeah, no, that's reproduction. So I'm going to check C. And then you go, okay, well, C, longevity, is there slow metabolism? Oh, yeah, that's the metabolism one. That's the one where eventually I will read about the Galapagos Islands and the food source, right? So then you're like, okay, C. So even if you're using some skimming and scanning to be 100% sure on your answer, ideally, you want to minimize the amount of time spent on skimming and scanning for the correct answer, okay? That was a really important tip, everyone. So I want you to keep that in mind because even if you're like, well, Adrian's a little bit out to lunch, I like skimming and scanning, it works okay for me, but I run out of time, but I get confused sometimes, then you want to keep this trick in mind that, and this is a really important tip, students, okay? Even when you are using skimming or scanning to reassure yourself that you have the correct answer, you must minimize the amount of effort and time, number of words and paragraphs that you need to scan, okay? That's a really important tip for today, and I just want to make sure that you all got it. Everybody has that? Just give me a thumbs up and go, okay, I get what you're saying with that, so I can't be skim reading half passages and 3/4 passages for each question. If you're doing that, you will run out of time, and you'll likely get a lot of them wrong, okay? So you can't be skim reading 3 paragraphs and 4 paragraphs for one answer. That doesn't work, all right? You're not going to do well. Okay, all right, good. Thanks, Nazir. Thanks, Pavan, Abhishek. I'm glad everybody's on board. Okay, so even when you're using these skimming, scanning strategies, minimize the amount of time that you're doing that. Okay, let's solve the rest of these questions now together. Nice and smooth. Fantastic. All right, here we go. So, number 3. Separation from predators contributes to their long lifespan. Okay, where's that one coming from? If you're doing good visualization, I think you'll figure that one out as well. So separation from predators contributes to their long lifespan. This, of course, is them living on the island, locked away from other dangers. Janelle says, I think it's D, maybe coming after metabolism. Okay, you might want to go back and check that. Well, let's do that. Okay, so you think, okay, I thought I saw that after metabolism. So then you go, okay, it definitely came after, right? So metabolism alone does not explain the great age to which tortoises live. Critical to the tortoise's longevity is their hard shell. Hard shell. Ooh, wait a second. Okay, that one was the paragraph where I visualized myself sitting on top of the turtle playing the drums. What a hard shell. It's not just a nice drum and a nice beat, but I'm pretty sure it protects this animal. So, yeah, I didn't really visualize it there. It must have been E. Okay. Now, another logic to hold on to here, to incorporate, is, remember, paragraph F says, well, humans and rats are attacking these tortoises on the islands, right? So it makes sense that it's E, because E is actually a contrast to F, okay? So, and contrasting paragraphs usually follow each other. Everybody catch that? So, contrasting paragraphs. Historically, the tortoise is protected by living isolated, alone, away from dangers on these little islands. But unfortunately, thanks to humans who now have boats and planes, they don't really live on these islands alone anymore, and now they're dying. Okay, so there's a contrast there. If you remember this contrasting type of concept, and this is the same when you're writing a task 2 essay and you're doing advantages, disadvantages. That's just much shorter because you have 2 body paragraphs. You're doing the same, you're contrasting, right? On the one hand, the disadvantages of however, on the other hand, the advantages. So you're contrasting one after the next. Everybody got that? So if you see that contrast between 2 points, you can probably figure out that, wait, if F was about them being attacked on the islands, then E is probably about them being safe on the islands before that happened, right? Okay. So that contrasting effect can really help you figure out the answer there quickly as well. That's some logic for you, okay? All right, so E it is, okay? So F, C, E, okay. Number 4, some animals have different methods of ensuring the species lives on. Okay, so lives on means more generations. Right? Because it's the species that lives on. So more generations, put another way, is reproduction. Okay, so read carefully, of course. Pay attention to that. Species lives on. What's the answer here? So we've spent a lot of time now on visualizing and logic, so it should come quick. Charlie Janelle says B. B it is. Okay, very good. Number 5, we're going to move nice and smooth now, students, so let's push forward. Tortoises have difficulty adapting to new environmental pressures. Tortoises have difficulty adapting to new environmental pressures. What are the environmental pressures? Environmental pressures are humans, rats, and so on. Paying attention to question instructions, you may use any letter more than once. So this last one, number 5, must be, again, it's very clear and obvious here. Just give it to me. Very good, Pavan. F. Okay. New environmental pressures are humans, pollution, and predation. Right? F. Very good. Okay, so F, C, E, B, F. Those are your correct answers. Be confident. Move on. Okay, once you have those. Very good. All right, now we need to complete these sentences. Number 6. This type of question, it usually comes in the order of the passage. So number 6 is going to be earlier in the passage than 7. 7 will be earlier than 8. 8 will be earlier than 9. And you'll notice that number 6 is coming from the introduction. So the causes of the tortoise's long life are biological and what's the other one there? You should definitely get this correct because it's coming from the thesis statement. Hi, Angelina. Welcome back. Oh, you just upgraded to the premium package for that editing, right, Angelina? Right. Cool. Okay. Evolutionary. Yeah, very good. Okay, very good. Evolutionary. Excellent. Now, when you know this and you're like, okay, I'm 100% sure, just to make sure you don't lose the mark, it's maybe a good idea to check the spelling. So you know it's in the introduction, you know it's in the thesis, so it only takes you a couple of seconds to do this. So it's a good idea. Evolutionary, Evolutionary. He looks good. Okay, keep going, right? Evolutionary, fantastic. Okay, when you know where it is, if you're not if you're like 1,000% sure on the spelling, then that's great. Okay, yeah, good, Angelina. All right, so evolutionary. All right, number 7. While salmon lay thousands of eggs at once, tortoises rely on their something to continue their species. Okay, let's see if you can get that without Hina, I'm not sure what that question is about, so just send me an email if something's not clear there. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by what do you mean. Abhishek says longevity. Yeah. How long can these tortoise moms be mommies? So anybody remember? How long can the tortoise reproduce? So how long are they able to continue having children? As far as we know from our own scientific research. It's quite incredible if you actually think about it. Anybody know? Longevity. Yeah, very good, Charlie. 100 years. Yeah, 100 years. Just imagine. How old is your mom? I'm a baby. How old is your mom? She's 130. Ooh, okay. All right. So number 8. Unlike the tortoise, animals such as the something have very high metabolisms. So what animal does it give as an example for a very high metabolism? Now, definitely give an animal that's super fast. So hopefully you remember that. Yeah, it's the hummingbird. And Abhishek Pavan, really nice. It's one word, okay? Hummingbird. Just so everyone will remember this, this is that beautiful little bird. In British Columbia, where I live, we have just gorgeous hummingbirds. It's that little hummingbird that's got that really long beak to eat from flowers, and it can actually stay in one spot in the air while it's sucking the nectar with its long beak from the flowers. It's a beautiful bird. It's called a hummingbird because it hums, okay? Hum is a sound. So in English, when you say humming, if you go I'm humming a tune. To hum is a verb in English, okay? Humming. I'm humming a tune for the hummingbird. And that's because the hummingbird's wings are humming when they're flying. That's humming. Okay, so that's why it's a hummingbird. Double M, hummingbird. All right. Number 9, the tortoise's something protects them from attacks, thus lengthening their life. You should all get this. This is a Band 4 level question, so everybody should get this No problem. The tortoise's something protects them from attacks, thus lengthening their life. Shell it is. Very good, Abhishek, Dr. Krishna. So you should not spend a lot of time. Just be careful. Shell. It's a double L. It's a strong L sound, okay? All right. Okay, so let's keep rolling along. Thanks, Angelina. I do love teaching. True, false, not given. Let's do these. Here we go. We've got 3 minutes and 4 questions. No problem. All right, here we go. Number 10, most islands do not have predators. Is it important to know for this topic whether or not islands where tortoises live have predators or not? Yes, absolutely. So important, yes. So it's given. So then I ask, is it true that most islands do not have predators? It's definitely important, Charlie. Okay. I think it's important because that's where tortoises live. Is it given? Is it true? I don't know. Maybe. So I'm going to check. Okay? So I'm going to check because my answer is maybe here. Now, fortunately, I know where this is coming from, right? Because it's coming from E. Remember that these questions here, they help you to answer other questions. So that's why it's so important to get these ones correct, because I know that this one, number 3, separation from predators contributes to their long lifespan. That's coming from E. So I'm going to look at E, and I'm going to see whether or not it tells me that most islands don't have predators. A final cause of the tortoise's longevity is their island habitat. Animals which live on islands tend to live longer because they are kept separate from many of the dangerous predators. Instead of developing energy inefficient methods of keeping safe from predators and thus requiring an increased metabolisms, tortoises are free to allocate their energy to extending their lifespan and maintaining a very low metabolism. Okay, cool. So this is the paragraph that should have this. Is it in there? Do I know? So from this E, do I know that it's that most islands do not have predators? I just reread this short paragraph because I wanted to check, because this was a maybe for me, right? So from that paragraph, do we know that most islands have predators or not? Very good, Charlie. No, we don't. So I'm going to retract this and say, wait a second, even though I thought it was important, it's actually not given in this case. So here, my answer is changed to, well, it seemed important, but it's not given. Okay? Now, very importantly, students, we can infer. So from that information, we can guess that many islands don't have predators, possibly, but that doesn't work for the IELTS, okay? Inference doesn't matter. It has to be clearly given. In this case, it's clearly not given. So it has to be not given, okay? All right, the most significant problems facing tortoises are caused by humans. Is it important? Yes, definitely. So it's given. Is it true? Is it true that most of the big problems of tortoises are caused by humans? Well, unfortunately, I'm not proud to be a human at this point, but yeah, we cause a lot of the problems for nature, so it's going to be a yes. So it's going to be a true, okay, because it's true, false, not given. So true. Very good, Kyber. Number 12, the introduction of rats to tortoise habitats has affected the tortoise's lifespan. Okay, is that important? Important, yes. We read about the rats. We know that that's a problem. Is it true? Is it true that tortoises affect how long a tortoise lives? Yeah, it's true. They eat them when they're tiny, when they're small. So instead of living 200 years, the baby tortoise gets to live like 2 weeks. Okay, so it's definitely true. Okay. All right, and the last one, tortoises must be returned to their original habitat to survive. Okay, important? So is it important to know that a tortoise has to go back to its original habitat to survive? That seems kind of weird to me. And here, if I use my logic, do we ever see turtles and tortoises living in zoos or as pets in people's homes? Yeah, so obviously they can survive outside of their island, right? So this one I would have to say is not given. Whenever you have a question where you're like, well, that's just strange. Okay, that's my thought there. That's strange. Why is it strange? It's strange because tortoises are reptiles, and people keep reptiles as pets. Okay, it's not like a panda bear. Most reptiles can survive in an aquarium as long as they have appropriate climate and moisture and so on. So they don't have to be on their original island to survive, right? It's a strange question. So I don't think this author would scientifically discuss that, okay? So it could be important, Kyber, but it's a strange question, right? It's strange because we see turtles and tortoises in people's homes. People keep them as pets. Okay, so that would be not given. All right. Those are your answers. Lots of tips and tricks from today's reading on how to do and what to do. Make sure to practice these, students. Okay, make sure to practice these. Sometimes students write me emails like, in the class it seems so easy, but then when I do it at home, it's just like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, you just got to practice, right? You just got to practice, okay? Dr. Krishna, remember what I said just a minute ago. Don't infer, okay? So it's probably because you're inferring information. If you have to infer it, Dr. Krishna, it's not given. Okay. All right, everyone. That's it for this class. I got to get ready for the next one, which will be listening parts 1 and 2, where everybody can join the chat. And for all of our viewers, make sure to join our premium package at aehelp.com or gieltshelp.com. Just click on those big red buttons and you'll get access to our apps as well. You can even get our premium packages by becoming premium or premium plus level members on the YouTube channel. So lots of different ways to get access to all of our materials through the apps, through the websites, or even through YouTube membership. Those are the 3 different ways to get access to all of our goodies. Have an awesome break. Hopefully I'll see you shortly in 30 minutes. For listening, you're very, very welcome, Pavan. Much love to you, Kyber, as well. Nashat, great to have you in the class. Thanks for contributing, Jainil. See you shortly, everyone. Bye for now.